Hey everyone, it's Bethany. Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to make a very simple card. So recently I was at Michael's shopping for some things and I came across this stencil. It is a layering stencil. It comes in 3 pieces. So we have a background piece and then 2 detailed pieces, and I loved it. So I instantly added it to my cart. And the first thing we're going to do is grab a 80-pound piece of cardstock and we're going to trim it down to 4 by 5 1/4. I'm just going to trim it down just slightly smaller than a traditional A2 card so that my panel is a little bit smaller than my card. All right, now I'm going to tape this down to my mat because I'm going to do my layering at this point with ink blending. So I'm going to go ahead and also tape down my stencil. And then I've pulled 2 colors here. One is watermelon and one is pink lemonade. What is so beautiful about layering stencils is you can reuse them over and over with different colors and create such different looking cards. So choose the colors that you wish. I was really wanting to do a very fun pink snowflake card, and I really love how this turned out, so I can't wait for you to see this come together. I'm going to start this first stencil with the pink lemonade. Now, there were a total of 3 stencils. One of them was more of a solid background layer. I did decide to omit that for this particular card, but you can use that. So I am going to use stencils 2 and 3. I can't remember if they're numbered, but I'm going to use the 2 detailed stencils, and I'm going to line up the second one now and then add the watermelon. And I love how this turned out. I wanted it to be really fine and dainty, so I didn't want to use that 3rd stencil that was more of a kind of outline. It was more of a solid. So I went ahead and took that one away because of the nature I wanted to take this card. Okay, so here's the watermelon. It looks really red, but it actually is a really nice bright pink. And as it dried, it actually took on its natural tone. So right here, I'm kind of thinking, that's a little red for me, but I'm looking at the card right now in real time. It definitely pinked up as it dried. Now I'm going to use pink lemonade once more, which was one of my ink colors, and I'm going to use that as my card base. So I have a traditional A2 card folded at the top, and A2 is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Then I'll take that stencil background and then I'm going to add just some foam tape to the back so that we can bump this up just slightly. So far this card is pretty flat because we just ink blended onto a panel. There's no dimension. So this tiny bit of foam tape is just going to add the tiny dimension that we need. And don't worry, we're going to have some dimension with our sentiment. So I have these really pretty alphabet dies. I'll link them below. And what I'm going to do is use 110-pound cardstock because I'm going to layer them. And when I'm layering die cuts, I like to use a thicker cardstock so that I don't have to layer as much. So I'm going to cut these out a total of 3 times. So that way I have a really thick sentiment. I'm doing it out of white, but because I have so many layers and they are thick, when I glue them together, they're going to be very substantial. So they're going to pop up off that card really nicely and provide the contrast that we need to notice them, even though they are going to be white on a pretty light pink background. So I love how this turned out because when you layer these die cuts, they tend to turn into more of a chipboard feel, and they're just pretty. They're very substantial and fun, and it's one of my favorite techniques to do, though I haven't done it in a little bit. I've been sticking to coloring and now I am gluing paper together once again. So this has been really fun. Check out this die set though down below for the alphabet dies. I firmly believe everybody should have some alphabet dies in their collection because if you can't find a stamp set that works, then you can always just spell out your own. So in this case, I'm sure you know by now, I am spelling out joy. So I'm starting with my O so I can place that right in the middle of my snowflake. And I love the stitched element on these dies because it gives just a little bit more texture to this card. Again, it was pretty flat in the background with just some ink blending, but with that stitched look, we have some fun texture to bring this all together. All right, so there is my sentiment, and to round it out, I am simply going to put some sequins. This is one of my favorite sequins to use. It's one of those that kind of get lost if you are looking straight on, but once you tilt the card, especially when the recipient is enjoying and receiving it, then it takes on a really fun sparkle and holograph look. So I really love it. I'm going to flip this right on over and do my sentiment stamp. That way I have some credit on who made this pretty card, and that's it. It turned out really cute. Very simple, just some simple stenciling and then adding some sentiments on top, and I loved how it turned out. So Everything will be linked below. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and I'll see you in the next video.